How worth it is a $50 can of Gyokuro? One of my favorite Japanese tea brands offers 3 types of Gyokuro, and I was always happy with the one at the lowest price point. But out of curiosity, I decided to splurge on Senbird's most premium Gyokuro, what they call Mikado or Emperor. I was recently blown away by its heavily lingering umami aroma, and most unique of all is its sweet floral fragrance that reminds me of osmanthus petals. It has an almost buttery mouthfeel to it, like cake, and I immediately knew I needed to infuse this precious tea into my chiffon cake recipe. I've made quite a few different cakes already with green tea, including matcha and genmaicha. I really consider Gyokuro to be the king of them all, but it wasn't until I tried a more premium version that I felt fully confident to infuse this tea into my cake and cream. You see how the Mikado tea leaves have a fuller, greener color to them? They saturate your mouth with nuanced flavors, with very minimal astringency. That means more of the tea's natural taste can shine when brewed or turned into cake. I'm starting off by gently simmering 15 grams of the tea leaves in 130 grams of milk for 7 minutes until richly fragrant and pale green in color. Strain out the tea leaves, carefully pressing them to release their precious flavor until you have 60 grams of milk tea. While this is cooling, we'll mix up the rest of the wet ingredients. Here's 3 large egg yolks at room temp, 60 grams of canola oil, and 5 grams of vanilla extract. Give them a good mix before whisking in the cooled milk tea. Sift 60 grams of bleached superfine cake flour and 2 grams of baking powder into a separate bowl. Mix the dry ingredients thoroughly and whisk them into the wet ingredients until the batter looks completely silky smooth. Make sure to scrape the edges of the bowl too. This will help make your chiffon cake taste smooth, soft, and fluffy in every bite. The first major component of the Gyokuro chiffon cake batter is complete. Now we just have to make the meringue, which gives the cake its signature airy texture. Beat 3 large room temp egg whites until they reach the soft peak stage, when they start to look smooth and opaque white, and fluffy in texture. This is when you can start gradually trickling in 60 grams of granulated sugar in a steady stream. Continue to beat the meringue until it's smooth and glossy with stiff peaks. Here's the final step of the chiffon cake recipe. Fold the meringue into the cake batter until uniform in texture and color. This usually takes me about 40 folds. Make sure to smooth out any large lumps you see, which can happen if the meringue over-stiffens before all of the sugar is added. All that's left is to transfer this cloud-like batter into a 6-inch stainless steel cake pan lined with parchment paper just on the bottom. 56 minutes of baking in an oven preheated to 325 degrees Fahrenheit is the sweet spot for my chiffon cake. But the true test for doneness is checking that the top of the cake springs back immediately after pressing. I then cool the cake upside down over a 6-inch cake ring for about 2.5 hours until the bottom of the pan is at room temp. Once I've finished cleaning up a bit, it's time to make the Gyokuro cream. Bloom 1/4 plus 1/8 teaspoon of gelatin powder by mixing it with 1.5 teaspoons of water. Gently simmer 15 grams of Gyokuro tea leaves in 220 grams of heavy cream for 5 minutes. Once again, strain out and press the tea leaves to end up with 128 grams of Gyokuro infused cream. Pour in 8 grams of granulated sugar and mix until the gelatin dissolves. Refrigerate the cream for about 1 hour until it is just fully set on the top. I first tried Shine Muscat grapes after my partner bought them for me years ago at quite a premium price. I've learned that if you wait about a month after they're first on the market, until the very peak of the season, you can actually get them for 1/4 of the price. So today these picturesque grapes are quite worth it. Slice 350 grams of shine Muscat grapes into thirds crosswise to end up with pieces that are about 1/3 of an inch thick. Now, sort out all of the smooth grape caps, the opposite end to where the stem met the grape. I'm using these pristine pieces to decorate the outside of the cake. Slice them into halves, crosswise. I usually slice my cake into 3 layers, leaving the very top as a quick motivation snack. But today we're going to assemble the cake with 4 layers. No instant gratification for now, but I want to challenge myself by decorating my cake in a different way. Oh, but I am using a 5.5-inch cake ring to shave off the crust, so I do have these funny shaped cake noodles to slurp up. I shave off the sides as evenly as possible, so that each slice stacks on top of each other to form a smooth tower. To complete the Gyokuro cake cream filling, I whip 128 grams of heavy cream to stiff peaks before incorporating it with the Gyokuro infused cream from earlier, which is just set into a jiggly yet still pourable custard. Start assembling the cake inside the cake ring by smoothing out 3 tablespoons of the cream filling on top of a cake slice. Press the grape pieces firmly into the cream against the ring and cake. Once all covered, drizzle cream to fill the gaps and form a smooth surface. Cover with a cake slice. Then repeat with layers of grape, cream, and cake. Top with the final slice of cake, and transfer the cake and leftover cream to the fridge to solidify overnight. The cake and filling have become cohesive overnight, and so too have my plans for decorating the cake. I'm slicing 50 grams of grapes into thin translucent pieces. Then I'm cutting up 4 pieces of my favorite habutai mochi into quarters. Place them along the top border of the cake. Then place the grape slices on top to emulate an evanescent fall bloom. For final touches, I'm sprinkling dried osmanthus petals. Today's cake decoration was inspired by my favorite way to eat tangren, with uji matcha blended into the soup and a sprinkle of osmanthus. Look how delicate and light the cake is. The shine Muscat grape is so refreshing. It really lightens up the rich umami flavor of the cream. And the cake is not too sweet, so I love having the mochi and osmanthus to occasionally sweeten up a bite. This mellow and more nuanced tasting cake is just what I'm looking for to lighten up a mid-autumn morning.